The story you are about to watch is about a young boy who loses his mind after the death of his father. This story is true and highly distressing, so viewer discretion is advised. Zachary Davis was a quiet boy with a clear history of mental illness. When his father, Chris, died of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, in 2007, 9-year-old Davis spiraled into a deep depression. His paternal grandmother, Gail Cron, shared that Davis was taken to see Dr. Bradley Freeman at Vanderbilt University Medical Center shortly after his father's passing. The psychiatrist confirmed that the boy suffered from significant mental health issues. Davis claimed to hear voices and was diagnosed with schizophrenia and depressive disorder. His already quiet demeanor became even more withdrawn. In one of his 4 sessions with Dr. Freeman, Zachary claimed to hear the voice of his deceased father. Psychologists recognize that deep depression following the loss of a loved one, especially at a young age. While Davis experienced the initial stages of bereavement, numbness, and depression, he never reached recovery, partly because his mother pulled him out of therapy prematurely. His grandmother later remarked that had Davis received proper medical attention, this would not have happened. The family moved to Sumner County, Tennessee, to start a new life. Melanie, Davis's mother, worked hard as a paralegal and trained as a triathlete, striving to keep her family happy despite their loss. Unfortunately, her youngest son was beyond her reach. At 15, Zachary was an outcast among his peers. He often spoke in a monotonous whisper, wore the same hoodie daily, and had apps on his phone about serial killers and torture devices. His notebooks contained disturbing notes like, "You can't spell slaughter without laughter." He read Stephen King's Misery and played violent video games. Outwardly, he did not seem violent, until the night of August 10, 2012. After a movie night with his mother and 16-year-old brother Josh, Davis packed several items, including clothing, notebooks, a toothbrush, gloves, a ski mask, and a claw hammer. While it could have seemed like he was planning to run away, his intentions were far more sinister. Melanie went to bed at 9 p.m. Once she was asleep, Zachary retrieved a sledgehammer from the basement and entered her room, bludgeoning her to death with nearly 20 strikes. Covered in her blood, he then went to the family game room, doused it in whiskey and gasoline, and set it on fire before fleeing the house. He intended for his brother Josh to die in the fire, but because he closed the game room door, the fire did not spread immediately, and Josh was awakened by a fire alarm. Finding his mother's bloodied body, Josh escaped to a neighbor's house. Authorities found Zachary nearly 10 miles from home. He told them, "I didn't feel anything when I killed her." In a videotaped confession presented in court, Zachary explained how his father's disembodied voice instructed him to kill his mother. When asked by a detective if he would still carry out the attack if he could go back in time, Davis chillingly replied, "I would probably kill Josh with a sledgehammer too."
Are you sorry that your mother's dead?
Yes.
Why?
I feel bad for doing it.
But at the time you laughed, why feel bad now?
I think it was a stupid thing to do.
You wrote a journal entry. The killing was August 10th at 11 p.m. And on August 11th, this would be the next morning, you wrote, "I killed Melanie and left Josh alive to suffer. I didn't feel anything when I killed her, even when her blood splattered on my arm and her brain matter was thrown onto my shirt. I didn't feel remorse, hate, or even satisfaction. My only true regret was that I wasn't able to give her a faster death. I didn't want her to suffer." Do you remember writing that?
I think so.
Defense attorney Randy Lucas asked during the trial, "Did he tell you to do anything specific to your mother?" Zachary replied, "She wasn't taking care of my family." He laughed as he described the sound the sledgehammer made when hitting his mother's head. It was a wet, thumping sound. When asked why he hit her multiple times, he said, "I wanted to make sure she was dead." At one point, Davis tried to blame the murder on his brother, surprising even his defense attorney, who admitted in court that Zachary killed his mother but sought a more lenient sentence. Judge D. David Gay stated, "You became evil, Mr. Davis. You went to the dark side. It's that plain and simple." The justice system and jury grappled with the fact that while Davis had clearly premeditated his mother's murder, he was also deeply unwell. Dr. McGraw, who testified in court, said, "When I look in your eyes, I don't see evil, I see lost." Davis's grandmother appealed to his severe mental illness and lack of help, stating, "Every teacher, every guidance counselor should have to stand trial with Zach. Zach is not a monster. He's a child who made a horrible mistake." She believed Melanie's failure to get Zachary the help he needed led to her tragic death. Dr. Freeman also testified that Davis's judgment was driven by his psychosis, asserting that he could not have premeditated the murders due to his mental illness. However, the jury and judge disagreed, and Zachary Davis was sentenced to life in prison after only 3 hours of deliberation. In Tennessee, a life sentence means a minimum of 60 years, with the possibility of parole after 51 years. Zachary Davis will be in his mid-60s before he could potentially be released. Whether the murder was a result of cold-blooded intent or psychosis, it remains a tragic story of a family destroyed. This was briefly the story of Zachary Davis. There must be something very crazy going on in his head if you hurt your own mother in that way, and especially at that age. There are all kinds of court videos and documentaries about him if you want to see more. But this is the end of this video. If you like this type of content, let me know. But for now, until next time.